guys started reaching the point where you're playing the junket game?
I've never played the junket game.
What is the junket game?
Where you try to like put a certain word into the answer?
No. I think we're just grateful that, you know, we even have a movie coming out during this time, to be honest.
Anybody wants to talk to
anyone
us?
cares. I think we're far too grateful to play the junket
We just
game.
want the company, frankly.
Yeah. Something to do.
Let me start by saying I thought you both did such a great job with this. And I loved the script for this. I thought Ron and Jim did such a great job. I'm curious for both of you, because a script like this is not the norm. What was it like for both of you reading this for the first time? And were you like, I need to make this?
I think we both were right away. You know, scripts like this don't come along very often, and they do stand out like a sore thumb. You know, they worked on it for 15 years and it really shows. It's just one of the best scripts I've ever read. And I think the only script I've ever read after we finished filming, just because I was still intrigued by it, you know. My only complaint about this process is that it couldn't have been longer. You know, it's hard to raise money for films like this, and we made it really quickly. But it was such a complete, rich, complex world. And those are the ones you just kind of want to camp out within and explore as much as possible, like a great play, you know. It was really hard every day to walk away from the scenes, because you kind of just, they're so rich, you just want to kind of take another stab.
It had so much soul in it. It had so much soul. It was so delicate. It was like poetry, really. And that's so rare. There's no like crashes and bangs and running around. You know what I mean? It was like purely two people talking, trying to work each other out really slowly, trying to find a way out of their pain, recognizing it in each other, finding solace and intimacy and like a blossoming.
You got this. You got this. Sound it out. Yes, it is at that point.
Lockdown is just affecting me in some weird way. Anyway, a blossoming of their individual selves, you know, maybe for the first time in their lives. And I just thought that was so profound and beautiful, and it really moved me. And I could feel this kind of like, yeah, it made me ache a little bit. And you know, when you feel things, when you read something, a script like that, you go, that's such a good sign. And I hope we can try and animate that feeling a little bit, even if it's one person that watches it and feels it.
It takes place in the late 1850s in upstate New York. And at that time, life was so hard. And I think that the film does a great job of just reminding you that just each day was a struggle to be alive, and no one was, you know, love was such a luxury. Do either of you think you could have survived in that time? Because I definitely could not have. No chance.
I think, well, you know, what's so interesting about it is that the innocence, you know, that there's no knowledge of some other way of existing, you know, except for what came before them. I love that line where Abigail says, imagine what it was like for our grandmothers. Oh, they had it hard, you know. From the position we sit today, my God, it seems truly nightmarish to not have the freedom to love who you want to love, to not have a moment to yourself, to not have an opportunity to get an education or consider any dreams of your own. All of that's really unappealing to me. But there are certain things about that way of living that were quite seductive to me when I was there. I was so struck, even just working for a few weeks in the remote countryside in Romania, just struck by how fragmented my thoughts have become in these modern times. You know, you're just constantly pinged and pulled in different directions and texted and emailed and accessible almost 24 hours a day. And the solitude and that kind of monastic way of living is not something to shake a stick at. Is that an expression? I don't know what that means. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be learned from those people who, and I suppose this year I learned quite a bit from indigenous peoples who engage with the natural world in a much more sensitive and connected way. I was quite struck by all of that. But yeah, the hard labor, no thanks. Cow milking, not a walk in the park.
I mean, I felt like very in tune with Tallie in a way, because I think, I don't know, I just imagined her to be the kind of personality that might always wonder what's beyond, you know? And there must have been so many women throughout all of history, through all the centuries, who questioned the order and the system and imagined a world that didn't have that. And I think she really represents that. And, you know, the fact that the allegory of the story, the fact that she's kind of extinguished, that light is extinguished, I think is true to those lights, you know, that were probably going off everywhere, all around the world, that asked for more. And of course, you know, women that fought for more than they were told they had and were allowed. And I think, you know, Tallie is one woman's story from the past who wanted more from love, you know, and Abigail wanted, like, you know, even getting an atlas or like literature or poetry, or, you know, imagine that maybe she could be creative in some way. And Tallie wanted to be with someone who made her really happy, and that was what she asked for. And so I think, the bigger allegory of that kind of imagination sort of being snuffed out or extinguished everywhere probably happens so much. And I almost felt like our ancestors that risked doing that and that came, you know, that sometimes that was fatal. They were paving the way for more and more people to be able to finally actually be able to, you know, and break through that. And here we are today, at least, you know, our lives so privileged.
When Abigail's starting to fall in love with Tallie and she starts using all this nautical imagery, I'm finding it so fucking moving. This person who's never seen the sea, she's read a few books that maybe have described great storms or a ship at sea, you know, and she's using this imagery that she's only learned from in books, but she's trying in her way and with her words on the page, her written words, to extend her world. You know, it's so moving and tragic to me. You know, these two women who in their very different ways were just longing to reach out beyond the limitations of their, you know, 3 square mile existence.
I definitely, before I run out of time, want to talk about Mona and the filmmaking, because I thought she did such a great job with this. Can you sort of talk about the fact that it was more natural lighting and you were filming on celluloid, and, you know, she just did such a great job.
I know. I'm so curious how many people are going to be watching this now on small screens. And this really is a film for the cinema. And we were so lucky that we got to take it to Venice and see it with a real audience. The impact of that, there's just that je ne sais quoi about celluloid, that it just feels like it's living and breathing on the screen. You know, it's just, there is something different about it, and the sound design and all of the elements working together. I'll be curious to see what the experience is like. I hope not too many people, if they have the option, you know, will try to watch it with the best sound system they can hook up and on a bigger screen. But she really is a filmmaker, and she thinks like a filmmaker, and she can do that seemingly impossible thing of spinning all the plates, of imagining the elements of post-production and color correction that will tie things together. And, you know, we just sort of show up and and stand there, as it were. You know, she is a very skilled maestro.
Also, like, you know, I thought it made me think about The Crown actually while being on the set, because what really helped us like feel like royals was that they built Buckingham Palace, and we were actually shooting like in, you know, a lot of really royal sort of rooms and wherever the hell they were around London and outside, rather than being like, oh, like how the fuck do you act being a princess? which I have no idea about, like to actually go, oh, okay, if you're in this habitat, then it might bring up these feelings, you know, of privilege, or feel like you're less than the situation that you find yourself in or whatever. And it's the same for this movie in a way. What Mona did was, because she built the farms in the middle of nowhere, in, you know, it was my home and Catherine's home, and so you sort of felt the remoteness. You know, we're in the middle of Transylvania, you know, you had to like hike half an hour to set sometimes, and it helped you embody the whole situation, you know, and therefore the longing, and therefore the silences and the things that you wished you had, and you know, so it was massively helpful. And Mona really, it was to her that she did that. And also weirdly, the shooting on film, it almost felt true to like history somehow, you know, it just felt truer. It felt less like digi, and none of their lives was remotely digital. Yeah,
Gotta go. I'm just going to say again, congrats and good luck with the rest of your speed dating. Maintain, you know, some sort of, you know what I mean.
Sanity. We will. We're just grateful. We're grateful for you. Thanks, Stephen.
Have a great day.